What's going on, guys? My name is PJ. Welcome to my channel. I am so excited to talk about the topic of today's video because this moment in my personal journey in my life was truly monumental, and it truly changed the trajectory of my life. From this moment onwards in my life, from the story I'm going to share with you, my whole life took on a new color and I had so much more clarity in my life. And that's my hope for you as well, to experience from what we're going to share and discuss in this video. My hope for you is to experience the same clarity, the same sense of having a clear direction in your life that I was able to obtain from this very simple exercise that we're going to cover today. So my story starts in my apartment in Stillwater, Oklahoma in 2016. I was about to embark upon my last semester of college. That very important chapter for many of us, where you are truly transitioning from this like make-believe life of college, where it's like this like reality that's like kind of like a false reality. It doesn't really reflect real reality, so to speak. And you know that you are about to end this chapter and embark upon this new one, and it's kind of scary, and it tends to bring up in a lot of us a feeling and a sense of being lost, a feeling and a sense of lacking direction. And those are certainly all the things I experienced. So what I'm going to share with you is what basically I did in order to overcome that sense of lostness and that sense of directionlessness that I was experiencing. So I was in my apartment, was about to start my last semester of college. I knew what awaits me at the end of it, and just like I said, I was feeling very lost. And for many of us, we go through that. And I remember I had just gotten back from a music festival, and I remember at the tail end of that, it really, for some reason, I felt very off, very distant, very just unaware, and as if I didn't know myself. It was like the reality had set in. It was like, that was like the last kind of like super fun thing, that I was gonna do before I started this very last semester of college. And the reality of being back in my apartment, being a few days away from starting that last semester, the reality set in that like this life that I've been living up until this point is not gonna be the life that I'm going to continue living. Definitely not the life I'm going to be continue living after this last semester of college, and everything's going to change. And so I really was sitting with myself and thinking like, who am I? What are my values? What do I believe in? Because I knew that experience that I had, the music festival, the last, kind of like super fun thing, let's say, the crazy thing, college type of thing that I did, that's not gonna last. So I was starting to feel very strange from my friends who I did those things with, my kind of circle, my activities, and I knew in order for me to have a nice transition into my life post-college, I need to get clear about my values, who I am, because I know those friends are not going to go with me. A lot of those activities are not going to go with me, but what is going to go with me to those next chapters is my clear sense of values. And I was absolutely unclear about those values. And as a result, I felt very lost because my values were very determined by the phase of life I was in, which was changing. And so it wasn't something I could rely on. It wasn't something sturdy. And also I knew my friends are going to change. I knew the people around me are going to change. So everything, the reality of the fact that all of these things are going to change had created a very sense of deep sense of a feeling of being lost in my life. So I decided, and that's what we're going to share about in this video, talk about in this video, I decided to grab a sheet of paper and ask myself this very simple question. But to answer it, you have to really dig deep and uncover your true values in life. So I asked myself this question, and I don't know where I had heard this from, or it was like an original thought, but I just came up with this idea that if I ask myself, if I was on my deathbed right now, it's my last few hours of life, I'm literally laying there on my deathbed knowing that these are the last moments of my life. If I am in that moment, what are the top 10 values that if I had lived my life by them, now that I am at that stage of life, I am fully content, I am fully happy, and I have no regrets. So basically, if I had these 10 values, this list of 10 values, and I had lived my life in accordance to these 10 values, now that I am at the end of my life, I am fully happy, fully content, and fully at peace with the results that these values have generated in my life. What are those values? So when I ask myself that question, and I really imagine myself being on my deathbed and thinking through my life, what are the values if I had lived my life by those values, now that I'm here, I'm happy. And one at a time, these values, these deep-rooted, some of them were maybe very deep-rooted, and some other ones I was thinking about and trying to implement in my life. But as I asked myself that question, that opening question, it opened the floodgate, and one at a time, these values started pouring out of me. So one at a time, and I still have those papers. I didn't want to necessarily share that here because I truly believe, those are more kind of personal things to me, and I don't want my values to necessarily be like imposed upon you, or try to like influence you in any shape or form to try to adhere to some of the values that I may have or anyone else may have. And that's what's also important about this exercise, is that these are your values, nobody else's. And that's what makes it unique, and that's what makes it powerful, that these are nobody else's values. But going back to the story, one at a time, these values started flowing out of me, and I had a sheet of paper and I was just writing, value 1. Basically, if I had lived my life by this value right here, then at the end of my life, on my deathbed, I am very happy that I had that value and that I lived by it. Value 2, value 3, and so on and so forth, all the way to the 10 values. And I remember when I put that last word on the sheet, when I was done with that exercise, I was a new man. Like, no joke, no kidding. I was a different person. From that day onwards, I knew myself. I knew what I lived by. I knew my code of operation. I knew what I stand for, what I live by. And from then onwards, and this is another value, a very important value of this exercise, from then onwards, every decision that I made, I try to have it adhere to these values. It was like these values became the checkpoint, in a sense, of like everything had to go through them. They became the filter. Every decision had to be filtered through them. Okay, I'm about to make this decision. Does it live up to these values? For example, one of my values, that I'll share here was, and it's super cheesy, but it's very powerful. It was to choose love over fear. In as many circumstances in my life, choose love over fear. And I remember that value alone played a huge part in me choosing and changing my major in my last semester of college, which was an absolutely insane move for a lot of people. But I knew that the major I had previously was chosen out of fear, and the major I'm going to choose is going to be chosen out of love. And the moment I did that, it was like the universe, God, rewarded me by giving me so many opportunities. As a result of the new major, I got new scholarships I didn't even know existed. I got new opportunities to travel to certain countries that opened up for me, that, created certain experiences and opportunities for me that I never knew existed. And it all came from choosing love over fear and living by that value and adhering by that. It created a whole set of new amazing circumstances in my life. So having those values in my life, it created a sense of clarity in my life. And what I realized is that for most of us, especially most of us who are maybe millennials or, Gen Zs, those of us who are on the younger side, maybe we grew up in the 90s and onwards, I feel like maybe previous to those times, maybe the religious values of society or just the values of the society in general were more deeply and strongly imposed on us. And with also not having the internet, we weren't exposed maybe to as many different ways to live life as we are now. So, whether we didn't have strong values imposed upon us, whether it's from a religious upbringing or whatever other societal values, or maybe even we had very strong values imposed upon us. But for most of us, I know in my case, I didn't really have very strong values imposed upon me that I had to live by. And as a result of that, I did experience a lot of freedom in my life, but I also felt a sense of being lost. Like I didn't know what I actually live by. What are my code of operating codes, so to speak? What do I live by? What are the values that I seek to live my life by? I didn't have those clear, and not having those imposed on me from whether it be religion, whether it be family or societal, influences, not having them strongly imposed upon me, like I said, it created a lot of freedom, but it created a deep sense of being lost and lacking in, what values do I live by? So a lot of us may have had that same experience of not having these deep, values imposed upon us. So it's our job to identify and clarify those values. It's like we have to come up with our own set of values. And I do think that's way more powerful than having values imposed upon you, because when you choose these values, they are yours. You will have a sense of ownership over them, and they are your values. Nobody else's. Nobody is forcing you to have these values or live by these values. They are yours. That's one of the most powerful things about this exercise, is that we're not trying to ask ourselves, what are the values of society, or what are the values of my parents, or what are the values of religion, and have those be in our lives. Maybe there are values from all those sources that are powerful and useful, and you can also make them your own, and you see the value in those values and make those your own as well. But just coming up with these values for yourself, having them written out, and basically making them physical. I'm a big believer in writing them on paper versus like typing them out. But making them physical, putting them on paper, it makes them real. And the moment you do that, you will experience such deep sense of clarity in your life that is honestly, truly life-changing. So here's my encouragement to you. Get out a sheet of paper, or have, your notebook, your journal, whatever it is. Have these papers ready, have a pen in hand, and then ask yourself this very simple but powerful question. If I was on my deathbed right now, and close your eyes, really imagine this, make this real for yourself, because that would lead to even better answers to this question. If I was on my deathbed right now, what are the top 10 values that if I had lived my life by these, my life at this moment is amazing. I am grateful that I lived my life by these values. I know that these values, if I had lived my life by them, would have produced amazing results in my life. And basically, imagine yourself on your deathbed with a subtle smile of contentment on your face. You are you're feeling fulfilled. You are happy and content and at peace. Ultimately, I think the feeling of being at peace is probably what at the deepest level we're all seeking. And whether we realize that consciously or not, I think that's what we're all after. But basically ask yourself that question, imagine the moment, and then start writing. One at a time, these values will come to you. You will, realize them and come up with them. And then once you have your list, make sure you put this list somewhere where you can see it all the time. Print it out or make a copy of it, put it on your wall, whatever you need to do to see these every day, because you also need to seek now to live by these values. Because it's one thing to just have the values, but it's another thing to actually seek to adhere by them. That's where the real magic, comes in, of having these values clear. That alone is life-changing, don't get me wrong, but then when you actually try to live up to these values, that ends up creating such a deep sense of confidence in you and such a sense of clarity. And in every decision, try to filter that decision through these values and then watch your life change. And these values, what's important and powerful about them is that they are nobody else's. They are your values. Nobody is forcing you to have these values. They're nobody else's but yours. And because these values are yours, you will have a sense of ownership over them. And then when you seek to live by them, your sense of confidence will be so much it will be boosted so much. You will have so much more confidence because you know your values and you are seeking to live by those values. And I do think that one of the most important, one of the feelings that as humans we desire is this feeling of congruence, which means you are actually in congruence, in alignment with what your deepest values are. So when you have these values clear and then you actually seek to live by them, the feeling of congruence that creates within you is such a feel. It's something that gives you so much peace because you know what's inside yourself internally, the values. A lot of people are living by values, but they haven't identified what those values are. So, and as humans, we have a tendency to try to live in congruence with whatever it is, what the deepest beliefs that we hold, the deepest values that we hold, we try to live by those and be in alignment with those subconsciously. So when you actually make those values clear and then consciously try to live in alignment with them, the feeling of congruence and alignment that you feel with what your deepest sense of deepest beliefs and deepest values are is tremendous, and it creates such a feeling of peace, such a feeling of confidence, and such a feeling of alignment. Like, I know who I am, and every single day I seek to live by those values that I have selected for my life. And I'm telling you, like 99% of the population does not know their values, does not do this, and as a result, they're lacking in a lot of confidence, a lot of sense of direction, or mission, or just clarity in their life. And having these values clear, printed out, having them on your wall and seeing them every day and seeking to live by them will truly change your life, as it has for me since 2016 that I did this practice up until this day. And to this day, I look at those values and I can see how decisions in my life, because I had those clear, and I sought to live by them, how the decisions, the life-changing decisions in my life were made by them and based on them and have created such an incredible, a life that I am very happy with and blessed to call my life. So I want the same thing for you, and I encourage you to do this very simple but powerful exercise and watch your life entirely change for the better, because just having your values clear is going to give you such a sense of clarity in your life. It's going to create a sense of mission in your life. And ultimately, I think a lot of us seek that feeling of purpose, in our lives. And that peace that I earlier said, is like the main thing that we're all seeking. It comes from a sense of like clarity and having purpose and having peace about your place on this earth. Like, I know who I am. I know what I'm here for. I know what my purpose is, and I know what my values are. And I seek to live by that every day. And like, what more can you ask for, And I think when you get to the end of this journey of your life, and you're on that deathbed, if you've had these values and you've sought to live by them, then you'll look back with no regrets and a smile on your face and a sense of contentment. And, what more can we ask for, So that's my hope for you. I truly encourage you to do this exercise and watch your life change in front of your eyes. And I hope that you actually give it a try. And then let me know how your experience goes. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Besides that, I thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, as that helps the channel and it helps this video show up for more people who may benefit by it. And I hope that you subscribe as well, so that you see more videos from me on your homepage on YouTube. And I wish you all the best, and I hope to see you in my next video. Until then, take care. Bye.